When you think of the history of automobiles in America, you immediately think of legends such as the Ford Motor Company. However, there's a part of history that not many people are familiar with. It involves two genius brothers who weren't just the brains, but were also the backbone of the automobile company in the early 1900s. These brothers who grew up poor have nothing but determination and each other. Set out from Niles, Michigan, and ended up setting the tone for automobile companies all over the world. I'm talking about the Dodge brothers. Throughout their lives, the Dodge brothers were a force to be reckoned with, and even years after their death, their story is still relevant. However, their lives and careers came to an end in ways that were not as great as the lives they lived. This is the story of the Dodge brothers and how they became some of the wealthiest people in medieval America. Welcome to Business Chronicles. We tell the stories of extraordinarily successful people. Please subscribe to our channel to help us make more videos. John Francis Dodge was the older brother. He was born in 1864, 4 years before his brother Horace Elgin Dodge. John and Horace were inseparable. Their relationship was truly enviable, and this bond lasted from their childhood to the end of their lives. Their brothers were born in Niles, Michigan, and they grew up watching and learning from their father, who ran a foundry and machine shop. This was their first introduction to the mechanics industry. From their father, they learned how to cast iron and make machines from steel and other metals. The Dodge brothers learned from their father for almost 20 years, and by 1886, they had already learned everything he had to teach them. Then, the brothers moved to Detroit, where they got jobs in a boilermaker plant and got to build more metal structures on a much larger scale. John and Horace worked in the plant until 1894, when they relocated to Ontario, Canada, to work as machinists at the Dominion Typograph Company. Now, the two brothers had a knack for all things mechanical, but Horace was a phenomenal inventor, mechanic, and tinkerer. John, his elder brother, on the other hand, was the sales-minded managerial type, and this variety made them the perfect pair. In 1897, Horace invented a dust and dirt-proof ball bearing. It was the first of its kind and a major advancement in the world of mechanics and automobiles. And so, using this invention, John arranged a deal for the brothers to join with a third-party investor to manufacture bicycles. The Dodge brothers invested in this bicycle business for a little over 3 years, and in the early 1900s, they sold the company. Using proceeds from the sale, John and Horace set up their machine shop in Detroit. They mainly manufactured and sold automobile parts, and their work was incorporated into the most popular vehicles of that time. Their products were known for their durability and good quality, and this attracted several customers, big and small, to their company. The Dodge brothers were diligent workers at their machine shop, and as the years passed, their diligence continued to pay off. In 1902, the brothers won a contract to build transmissions for the Olds Motor Vehicle Company, the top-selling car manufacturer that year. It was their first major contract, and based on the success of the brand they were working with, the Dodge brothers and their small machine shop were catapulted into the spotlight. Bigger brands reached out to them, and that was the beginning of their fame in America. In 1903, Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, offered the Dodge brothers a deal that included a share position in his newly founded automobile company. This deal was by far more lucrative than their existing contract with Oldsmobile, so they turned their back on the company and went to work for Mr. Ford. The Dodge brothers worked with the Ford Motor Company from 1903 to 1913, and within these years, the brothers supplied the company's vehicle parts. John was also appointed vice president of the Ford Company. The brothers had an intricate involvement with the company, and they had huge parts to play in the invention of the company's most successful products. It was impossible to talk about the success of Ford without mentioning the contributions of these intelligent brothers. John and Horace also invested in the company, and ultimately, Ford Motor Company was in debt to the Dodge brothers. The wealth of the brothers grew exponentially within the decade, so much that in 1910, they built a new plant in Hamtramck, Michigan. John and Horace were aware of their influence, a little too much for some people's liking, but they knew they were a big deal. They were short-tempered, rude, had poor manners, and were known for their aggressive conduct. This made them socially unacceptable to most of the wealthy Detroit elites. But they didn't exactly need anyone's acceptance. They were rich, powerful, and highly influential, and it didn't matter that they had bad behaviors. Ever since the Dodge brothers established their plant in Hamtramck, they started making plans to create a Dodge automobile. However, their contract with Ford Company was a hindrance. So in 1913, they terminated their contract with Ford and set up the Dodge Brothers Company. The company was introduced in 1914, but it didn't start with the production of commercial vehicles. The launch of the Dodge Company coincided with the onset of World War I, and so they only manufactured motor trucks and ambulances for the US military. In October 1917, when the heat of the war had died down, Dodge Company released its first commercial vehicle. At the end of the war, the company produced and marketed both cars and trucks, and the brothers became the biggest rival of their former partner, Ford. John and Horace, who started as poor men from Niles, Michigan, had become a part of the richest men in the whole state. Their real estate portfolio spanned the entire country, and they had numerous luxurious properties, including mansions, yachts, farms, stables, cars, etc. Their business flourished and their wealth seemed limitless. However, it was at the pinnacle of their wealth that tragedy struck the Dodge brothers. On a trip to New York, John and Horace became victims of the 1918 influenza pandemic. While in New York, the brothers contracted the influenza virus and pneumonia, and these diseases resulted in complications that proved fatal. After battling the illness for a while, John died on January 14, 1920 at the Ritz-Carlton at the age of 55. Horace, on the other hand, fought the disease for a while, but after several relapses and fatal complications, he died in December of the same year at age 52. The Dodge brothers were interred in the family's Egyptian-style mausoleum in Detroit's Woodland Cemetery, guarded by two Sphinx statues. Following their unfortunate deaths, their company was left without capable leadership. And so in 1925, Horace and John Dodge's widows sold the company to Dillon Read investment bankers for $146 million, equivalent to almost $2 billion today. Today, the once powerful Dodge Company is now a subsidiary of Chrysler, another automobile company from Michigan. Although the company is still doing so well today, it has lost its Dodge heritage, and it's impossible not to imagine what would have become of Dodge Brothers Company if its founders had not died so untimely. We've come to the end of this video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.